Okay, every group of friends has that person that takes the pics, especially the candidates. In my crew, I'm that friend. I remember this one time I took this fire pic of my boy, edited it perfectly. He dropped that thing on social media, most likes he ever got, had the hood going crazy. Naturally, I head over to the caption, and would you believe this dude ain't give me no photo cred? So basically what I'm saying is, I've been there, more or less. All right, welcome to Taste Take. If you're new here, today we're talking about the new Netflix documentary, The Stringer, the man who took the photo. If that's something you're into, hit that subscribe button for your boy. For my regular Taste Takers, put on your detective hats. We got a mystery to solve. Okay, quick background here. The Stringer, the man who took the photo, is a documentary that debuted at this year's Sundance Film Festival and just got to Netflix. It was directed by Bao Wen, who also directed a documentary that's near and dear to my heart, The Greatest Night in Pop. I made a video on that, and it should be floating around here somewhere. Totally different vibe here, though. The Stringer tells the story of one of the most famous wartime photos in history. This is a photo from 1972 during the Vietnam War, commonly titled The Terror of War or simply Napalm Girl. Now, as much as I would like to go into one of my unqualified rambles and teach you about the Vietnam War, today I'm gonna spare you, and I'm gonna give you what I will call a grossly oversimplified version of the story. Now, for the purpose of this video, it all started in 1954, but you guys know these things are largely the result of event after event. But sure, for today, it started in 1954, where Vietnam just got its independence from France. Now, you would think they would be out here celebrating, popping bottles, macking hoes, and chilling, but no. After independence, Vietnam was split into two. The North wanted communism, and the South didn't want to move like that. And since the United States got its master's degree in getting up in everybody Kool-Aid, we decided to step in and help the South so that communism wouldn't spread throughout their country and into the surrounding countries. So while the United States was working to help the South, naturally, China and the Soviet Union was working to help the North. Everybody got homies. The Vietnam War will go on for 20 freaking years. Over 3 million people would be killed, including 60,000 American soldiers. And after all that, the North still won, and Vietnam became the communist regime that it still is today, which, considering all that they went through, seems to be working just fine for them. Anyway, so now that you know the Tate's Take version of the story, let's go back to the photo. The girl in the photo, again, we know as Napalm Girl, but her real name is Kim Phuc Phan Thi. Kim and her family lived in a village called Trang Bang. On June 8th, 1972, South Vietnamese planes dropped napalm on Trang Bang, the same Trang Bang that had been attacked and occupied by North Vietnamese forces. Now, the only problem is when they dropped that napalm, the freaking North was already up out of there. Now you got a group of civilians to bear the brunt of this. The bombing killed 2 of Kim's cousins and 2 other villagers. The famous photo was taken after these attacks where Kim and her homies were running for safety after the fire literally burned her clothes off. The Associated Press released the photo the same day. It was worldwide by the next morning. It served as a reminder to the Western world of all the horrors happening in Vietnam, and for sure had a huge hand in increasing the anti-war sentiment here in the United States. Nick Ut is a Vietnamese photographer that was working for the Associated Press, and he's the one who was credited with taking that very famous photo. Nick Ut won Photo of the Year in 1973 for taking that photo. Nick Ut won a Pulitzer Prize for taking that photo. Nick Ut received several Lifetime Achievement Awards for taking that photo. But according to this documentary, Nick Ut didn't take that photo.
The photographer is almost as well known as the photo itself.
I saw the girl running, then I said, get the picture of her.
Ladies and gentlemen, Nick Ut.
Nick Ut.
When you're photographing with film, there's always some mystery, but what you do know is what you didn't take.
There's a lot more to this story. Nick didn't really take that famous picture. It's time to clear my conscience.
Oh my golly, Wally. Basically, in the Vietnam War, the Associated Press, or the AP, had their team of photographers. Working alongside them was a group of freelance photographers known as stringers. The stringers would be out there on the front lines of battle, putting their lives on the line to take these photographs, and at the end of the day, they would drop their film off to the AP and collect 20 bucks. After all these years, one of the editors that was working with the AP at the time says he's been keeping a secret for 50 years. Nick Ut didn't take that photo. It was a stringer. So the documentary follows this team of journalists trying to hunt down this man who for years was only known as the stringer to see if they can figure out once and for all who the hell took this photo. So what's my take? Yeah, this is my kind of scandal. I thought this documentary was excellent. And to be honest, even though it was at Sundance, this was not on my radar. It wasn't until the PR team at Netflix reached out to see if I'd be interested in reviewing it. So I was like, let me think. I watched the trailer and I was like, all right, you have my attention. I threw this thing on and I was freaking hooked. Now, in this review, I'm not going to be going into what they found and what they didn't find. I think that's part of the allure of watching this documentary, especially if you ain't know the story like I didn't know the story. In my opinion, though, Bao Nguyen has made the perfect kind of documentary. First of all, he's personally connected to the story, which makes it that much more impactful. He's Vietnamese American, and his parents are literally refugees of the Vietnam War. Second of all, this is what I will call real journalism. No fluff, just facts. Getting testimonies from people that were around, all in the effort of finding out the truth. And you would think that a journalistic organization like the Associated Press will be all about figuring out the truth of a story like this. But would you believe that they're acting just a little bit creepy? When this documentary was being developed, I guess Bao, the director, and his team reached out to the AP and said, look, we're trying to get down to the bottom of this story. What say you? The AP tells them, okay, how about this? Send me over everything you've found and we'll get back to you. Bao and his people are like, all right, cool. Just make sure you sign this NDA here and just adhere to these embargoes. The AP was like, no sirree, Bob. Can you imagine you have a documentary that's not out yet, sending all the information that you've gathered that no one has seen to another organization to review without protecting yourself? Make it make sense. Then freaking Nick Ut, the man who allegedly took the photo, trying to block the movie from playing at Sundance. Would you believe that this man sent out a cease and desist? He's tweaking. Just knowing that this dweeb is hating on such a Hall of Fame level makes watching this documentary all that more enjoyable. Let's say, for example, the stringer did take the photo. Can you imagine the different kind of lives they've both been living for over 50 years? Like, this man, Nick Ut, is signing autographs on a picture he might not have taken. This says $600, not just one random. It's for 50 years. Then you got the stringer who probably telling everybody in his hood, you know, I actually took that. And nobody believes him. It's like in the Italian Job when that guy said he invented Napster. Well, kind of like that. Anyway, before I get out of here, I got to give a shout out to what I thought was the best part of the entire documentary. There's a scene where the team reaches out to this group called Index Investigations. This is a French organization that uses 3D modeling to just figure shit out. So they created a whole 3D model trying to discern who could have taken that photo. Here's a short clip from their YouTube channel, and I'm going to put their information in the description of this video, just so you can get an idea of what I'm talking about.
The next available picture in the sequence is the Napalm Girl photograph. Kim Phuc and the other children are seen walking on the main road, moving away from the temple and the site of the explosion. Drawing on a range of visual cross-references, we determined an approximate position for the photographer on the road, as represented in our 3D model.
So yeah, honestly, you should watch the documentary for the full version of their work alone. It's super impressive. Listen, I'm going to get out of here. I just think this is something that could go under the radar. But if you like documentaries, I think this is one you should check out. And in my opinion, gives you enough information that you can decide who you think actually took the photo. But it's not just about photo cred. This is highlighting one of the less than stellar times in our country's history. It's unpacking a lot of important issues: racial injustice, journalistic ethics, and maybe most importantly for this, why Vietnamese photographers' essential contributions have not found their place in history. The Stringer, the man who took the photo, is available right now exclusively on Netflix. As always, thanks for checking out Tate's Take. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that like and that subscribe button. In the comments, look, I don't know if anyone's gonna watch this video, but if you do, you should definitely watch the freaking Stringer and come back and tell me your thoughts about who you think took the photo. Like, in 2025, it's okay, like, to be wrong 50 years ago. What matters is correcting those wrongs, acknowledging those mistakes. I don't know, whatever. What do y'all think about the whole thing? I think it's nuts. And listen, if your homie takes some fire photos of you, just give him the photo cred. He just wants to feel appreciated, you know? Thanks for the time, y'all. Peace. I mean, honestly, I don't need the photo cred. I'm sure there's been some times I dropped some heat and I put the photo cred, so who am I to even judge, you know?